Hey, what's up? In this video I want to show you how to make sunbeams in Blender. I'll show some animations on screen that I've made where I've used these methods. Alright, so we have a room here for our guy to stand in, and I want light rays or sunbeams to come in from the ceiling. So I'm gonna just make a hole here, and I'm also gonna take this edge of the hole and then just extrude a bit, because in this hole I'm gonna use an area light and then just put that in that hole. And I'll go here into the light settings and make it a rectangle, and I just need to make this light big enough to cover that hole. And then I'm going to check this portal box, and this will just help reduce noise. When you have light coming into a room, it helps to have this kind of portal to cover the hole, and that just reduces noise essentially. You also need volumetrics for this to work, so let's just make a big cube and cover the scene. That's fine. I'm going to apply the scale, and then I'm going to go into viewport display and change it to bounds. Now keep that cube selected, make a new material, and we'll delete the principal BSDF and add a volume scatter node. Connect that to the volume here on the material output, and then I usually start off with something like this: 0.01 density and then 0.7 anisotropy, and I usually make this color completely white. And now we need a light source, so I usually add a spotlight for this. This is the first method, so I'm going to put it up here, just right above, and I'll make the power 1 million. And for this first method we're also going to add a plane, and we'll bring this up here as well, and it's going to be in front of this spotlight, and I'll apply the scale to that one as well. Then we can go into material preview just to see what we're doing when we're adding a material to this. So we'll search for a noise texture and connect that to the alpha. We can add a color ramp as well, connect that there, and then we want this result. This is going to cause shadows to appear. You know, the light's coming through here, and these black spots are actually transparent. So you see now they're like creating shadows here. But we want to change some settings. We'll probably increase the scale a bit here, and then we'll click the plane and then hold shift, click the spotlight, then control P and set parent to object. So now when we move the spotlight, the plane is following that around. Let's click the light, go to constraints and add a track 2 constraint. I want to light this guy up, so we'll go to this eyedropper tool and select our guy. Now when we move this spotlight around, it will always be pointed at our guy, so that's handy. Now we want the light to kind of go in like that, so I'll just move it somewhere here. Let's see what this looks like, and that's way too bright, so we'll also do one more thing. We'll select our room and just put a kind of a black shader on it, just so our light will be more noticeable. Now this is kind of the result we're looking for. We're getting some beams inside the room. One thing we can do is actually make this hole a bit more square, so I'll select that edge and this edge, and I'm just going to scale that on the y-axis, because I only want light going on to the guy. There we go. I mean, that's basically the result we're looking for, but we can adjust settings here. If we click the plane and adjust these color ramp sliders, we can get other results like that. We can also go change some noise settings. If we want smaller beams, we can increase this scale and things like that. Now if we zoom in on these shadows, for example, the shadow that the guy is casting is pretty sharp, so if we click the light and go into data and increase the radius, that's going to smooth the shadows out basically. But if you do that too much, the kind of beams will disappear and it will just be uniform lighting coming in, so don't do that too much. You can also click the plane, press G and then double tap Z, and you will move it in the direction of the light, and that can also change the effect that we're getting. You can do the same thing with the light, so if you double click Z when moving, it'll just move it in the direction it's pointing at. Now the nice thing with this, using a plane for this, because you could put anything in front of the light really. You could put a cube and it will have a similar effect. It'll cast shadows. But the thing I like about this noise texture is you can go to this and change it to 4D, and then if you change this W slider, that will randomize the noise. So that can, you can animate that and it'll look kind of cool. I'm going to hide these and I'll show you the second method. And for that, you only need an area light. So let's add that and just bring that up here. We'll make it a bit bigger and we'll set the same constraint on this one. So add a track 2 constraint and set it to the guy here. And we'll move it to about the same location, somewhere here. Now let's set this power to 1 million as well. And we need to decrease the spread to 0. We'll start with that. Now we want to click this use nodes button, and that's not going to be available if you're on EV. So you need to be in cycles for that to work. But when you've clicked that button, you can change some settings here in the shader editor. And we want to add a noise texture here as well and connect that to the color. And we also want a color ramp. Now if we look at this in rendered view, we can't really see anything, but if we move this black slider, we can see that we're getting shadows. This area light is casting out, a noise pattern. Now, if you increase the spread here, that's going to smooth those rays out, and pretty quickly the rays will kind of disappear. So if it's, at 180, which is the default, you get no rays at all. But if you decrease this pretty low, you'll get some pretty crisp rays. But this looks kind of ridiculous, so you should probably just, go in here, decrease the scale until you get something that you like. Now, it might just be me, but I feel like this is definitely a bit slower. Like, this method is a bit more heavy to render, but it is simpler in a way. Like, you don't have to make a plane that's in front and then, parent that, stuff like that. So it's just a matter of preference and, different way to do it. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, whatever. Bye. See ya.